Hello, I'm Gail Ellis and welcome to PEPELT, Picture Books in European Primary English Language Teaching. And our theme for December is Needs and Wants, and our book of the month is Those Shoes by Maribeth Boltz and Noah Z. Jones, illustrated by Noah Z. Jones, and first published in 2007 by Candlewood Press. The story is told in the first person by this character here, Jeremy, who desperately wants a pair of shoes like all the other children in his school here, but his grandma can't afford them. When his own shoes fall apart, the school counsellor gives Jeremy a pair of shoes that are not cool at all, and all the other children in his class laugh at him, except for one, Antonio, here. His grandmother thinks that she in fact does have enough money to buy the shoes, but is shocked when she sees the actual price. And they finally find a pair in a second-hand shop, charity shop, thrift shop in this book, for $2.50. And Jeremy decides to buy them for himself, even though they don't fit him, they're too small for him. He also notices that Antonio also needs some new shoes, as his shoes are falling apart. And he notices too that Antonio's feet are smaller than his own and that his shoes might fit him. So he has this choice of whether or not to give his shoes to Antonio, and he goes through an inner battle. I think I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And in bold font here, I'm not going to do it. But he reflects overnight and finally decides to give his two small shoes to Antonio. And he comes to the realization that he's a lucky boy, in fact, to have new boots for the snowy winter weather, a grandma who loves him, and a friend to play with. And the last page, we see the children running into the snow to play. Let's race. So the book is full of diversity. We see children, characters from different ethnic and socio-economic backgrounds and different family structures. Jeremy lives with a single grandparent, his grandma. It can be used at many levels, but I would use it with older primary age children, and even children who perhaps are learning English through a content-based program, because it lends itself to so much discussion and book talk. So I talk about multiliteracies, and Those Shoes lends itself very well to developing nature literacy related to seasons, emotional literacy as we empathize with Jeremy, cultural literacy. It's set in an inner city area in America. There are lots of details to observe through the illustrations, and there are also some interesting differences between American and British English that you might like to bring your children's attention to. Kickball for football, thrift shop for second-hand shop or charity shop, recess for playtime or break time. So I'm going to show how those shoes can be used to develop consumer and financial literacy. Children today are exposed to more and more advertising through TV and social media. They're seen as having purchase power, sometimes known as pester power, and label lust, that is a craving for a specific brand. And children can look at how advertising is used in this book through billboards and discuss the power of advertising. So we see this on the front cover. Here is a big billboard advertising those shoes. And we see this billboard again on the first double spread. Here we are. And it's actually ordering, buy these shoes to the onlooker. And here we have Jeremy looking up at that billboard, and the story begins. I have dreams about those shoes, black high tops, 2 white stripes. And he really does want those shoes. And here he is at home with his grandma, drawing pictures of those shoes. And he says, "Grandma, I want them. There's no room for want around here, just need," Grandma says, "and what you need are new boots for the winter." So we learn that the family budget is tight. So this would be my lead-in to getting children to think about and differentiate between needs and wants, that needs are necessities and wants are luxuries. I think I would ask the children to create a list of things that they need for their own development, their growth, and their survival, and a list of things they want. And you can see here that there are links with the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, as many of these needs are in fact basic rights. And there are some very interesting materials from UNICEF that you can use for this type of activity, and we'll provide the link for that. So we can ask children to say why they think Jeremy wants those shoes so badly. Discuss things like peer pressure, wanting to be like everybody else, and overwhelming desire. Have they ever felt like that? Has there been something that they have wanted really badly? Was it a necessity? Why did they want it? And you know, that children need to learn that we have to live within our own means. So coming back to advertising, we could ask children to perhaps conduct a project in their own neighborhood where they observe where billboards are used and how they're used. What are they advertising? Are there any words in English used in the ad? And in fact, children could create their own billboard for a product in order to think critically around advertising and consumerism. So I really like the realism in this story, which is depicted also through the illustrations. We see Jeremy, he lives in a flat that's sparsely furnished. His cupboard doesn't have many clothes in it. There are not piles of toys all over the way. So it doesn't, all over the place. So it doesn't reinforce consumerism or materialism. So at this time of the year, which is also often referred to as a retail festival, children can reflect on all the spending that they see going on around them and ask themselves, is that really necessary, or could that money be spent on something or donated to something more worthwhile? So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video about those shoes. We'd love to hear from you about your own thoughts on using this book. Coming up next is Tasha and Annetta, and I wish you all a very happy and restful festive season, and see you again in 2020.